Nyarlathotep, the crawling chaos and soul of Azathoth. But can he beat...
Stop it. Get some help.
So how powerful is Nyarlathotep? And will talking about power levels ever get me laid? Alright, enough goofing around because there's a lot to cover and I don't want to waste your time. So first of all, this video is part of a series about the Lovecraftian gods. Things I've explained before, I won't explain again. For proper context, you can find the previous videos in the description. With that out of the way, we can begin. But before we talk about his powers, let's talk about his backstory. So, Nyarlathotep is one of the other gods. In fact, he is the very soul of all of the other gods, and he exists to feed them. That's basically his job. Well, one of them anyways, because Nyarlathotep is also considered the messenger of the other gods. When someone makes a deal with the other gods, that person usually makes the deal with Nyarlathotep himself. Nyarlathotep basically represents the other gods and speaks for them. He is also loyal to the other gods, by the way. He acknowledges them as his masters. What's interesting about Nyarlathotep is that despite being a creature from the void, Nyarlathotep can leave the void at will and freely roam through all of the dreamlands unrestrained. That's why he is called the crawling chaos, because he moves around. The only place Nyarlathotep cannot go is the physical realm, but Nyarlathotep is very special, you see, because unlike most of the other gods, he can think, and he's actually very smart, so he figured out a way to circumvent this limitation. See, there's this thing called the shining Trapezohedron. It's some kind of weird looking stone or gem. It was created in Yuggoth, presumably by the Migo, and within the Trapezohedron, Nyarlathotep stored some of his thoughts. Now, the Trapezohedron is magical. If you are near it, it is going to make you want to look at it, and if you look at it, a sort of symbiotic link will be formed between you and Nyarlathotep, and then an avatar of Nyarlathotep will emerge into the physical realm. This avatar is called the Haunter of the Dark. It's a black giant winged thing that oozes acid, and it has 3 red colored eyes. It's important to note that even though he looks like a monster, the Haunter of the Dark is not a mindless beast. This avatar is capable of thinking, and he also does not stay like a monster forever. That's what the avatar looks like when he comes out, but he does not stay like that. Now, this avatar of Nyarlathotep is significantly weaker than his full self, but eventually the Haunter of the Dark gains more power. Presumably, this is done through blood sacrifices. What's really cool about this avatar is that if the person who looked at the Trapezohedron is in the darkness, they gain the ability to see what the avatar of Nyarlathotep can see, but in turn, the avatar can see what the person can see, which means Nyarlathotep knows where you are. I find this such a cool idea. There should be a horror movie based on this concept. But back to the story, since Yuggoth is close to Earth, the Migo dropped the Trapezohedron on Earth. There, the Elder Things found it, and then the Trapezohedron taught the Elder Things how to create Shoggoths. A Shoggoth is a weird amorphous monster. This has nothing to do with Nyarlathotep, by the way. I'm just sharing lore that I think is interesting. The point is the Shoggoths annihilated the Elder Things. That's how the Elder Things died. After the Elder Things, the Trapezohedron was found by other civilizations, including the Atlanteans and the Egyptians, who are actually important to this story. In Egypt, a pharaoh named Neferka acquires the Trapezohedron and summons Nyarlathotep's avatar. Eventually, other Egyptians discover what's going on, and they figure out the great secret about Nyarlathotep. I will talk about that in a moment, just let me finish this. The Egyptians then get rid of Nyarlathotep's avatar. The Trapezohedron is left buried in some temple Neferka built, and as punishment for what he did, Neferka is erased from history. The Egyptians destroyed any records that Neferka ever existed. Fast forward a couple thousand years, the Trapezohedron is rediscovered, and the Haunter of the Dark is summoned a couple more times. During one of those times, Nyarlathotep went to Salem. Yeah, the Salem known for the witch trials. Turns out in this universe, Nyarlathotep goes to Salem and tells a couple of women, hey, do you want to learn magic? And that's what started the whole witch trials thing. Also, in this universe, witches are real. But anyways, as for the Trapezohedron, the last thing Lovecraft wrote about it is that it's stored in some museum in the United States. Now, perhaps you noticed that the avatar of Nyarlathotep keeps being summoned. That's because there is a way to get rid of him, and the Egyptians figured it out. So what's the secret? To banish the avatar of Nyarlathotep, you must witness Nyarlathotep's true form and not die. Presumably, the way it works is that you use the Trapezohedron as some kind of lens. You look at Nyarlathotep's avatar through the Trapezohedron, you will see his true form, and if you can handle what he looks like, the Haunter of the Dark goes back to the void. Anyone can do this. It doesn't have to be the person that summoned the avatar. All you need is the Trapezohedron and be mentally prepared for it. To give you an idea, a regular guy succeeds on banishing the avatar. He goes to the hospital after, but he's alive. So whatever Nyarlathotep's true form looks like, it can't be that bad. I mentioned this when I talked about Cthulhu, but it's worth repeating because this is a misconception that refuses to die. The other gods do not have a weird passive ability that instantly makes you crazy or instantly kills you if you look at them. If you can handle what they look like, you'll be fine. Well, I mean, if you're in front of them, they're still probably going to eat you, but just looking at them doesn't instantly make everyone go crazy. If you can handle what they look like, you won't go insane in the membrane. Alright, that about does it for his story. Now let's talk about his powers. Starting with his avatar, a freshly summoned Haunter of the Dark is already capable of flying at the speed of a meteor, however fast you think that is. As a passive ability, the Haunter of the Dark gives nightmares to everyone around him. The range of this passive ability is as large as an entire city, and he is also super smart. Remember that in this this universe, magic and science are the same thing. So not only could Nyarlathotep bore you to death with super advanced math, but he also knows magic. We don't know exactly what kind of magic, but he taught some witches how to open portals to realms with higher dimensions. At bare minimum, he should have that spell. Also, in universe, some people believe Nyarlathotep's avatar lives at the center of the world. Taken seriously, this would mean Nyarlathotep's avatar can go into the core of the planet and be fine. That would be impressive if we believe it. Lastly, for his avatar, the Hunter of the Dark can, at any moment, go from the physical realm to the void, and he can take other people with him. It'd be a one-way trip, because once in the void, the avatar can go back to the physical realm until someone looks at the Trapezohedron again, but once in the physical realm, the avatar can choose to go to the void at will. He can do it once, but he can do it. The question now is, how exactly is he doing this? Because there are two options. Either the avatar is flying to the void, or he's teleporting there, and both of those are insane for different reasons. If the avatar of Nyarlathotep is flying from the physical realm to the void, he is performing a feat of speed so insane that it would make the Flash feel inadequate. And if the avatar is teleporting there, then that would mean that at any point he wants, he could instantly teleport you in front of Azathoth. Lovecraft's writing certainly allows for either of these interpretations, so this is a pick your poison kind of deal. Alright, now let's talk about what the full Nyarlathotep can do. First of all, Nyarlathotep is one of the creatures from the void, so basically anything I've said in previous videos will apply to him as well. But on top of all of that, Nyarlathotep has his own things, like for example, Nyarlathotep once bonked Azathoth on the head. Azathoth took no damage, but the mere fact Nyarlathotep can even do this is pretty ridiculous. This might be his craziest feat depending on how you look at it. Also, Nyarlathotep has shown to have the capacity to mind control people. Strangely, this manipulation power only works if you are asleep. However, if Nyarlathotep wants you, going to sleep pretty much guarantees he's going to make you do what he wants. In addition, Nyarlathotep can shapeshift. It is said he has an infinite amount of forms, so he can look like anything, but he does have a preferred appearance. Most of the time, Nyarlathotep chooses to look like a tall, completely bald, faceless black humanoid figure, and he has hooves on his feet. But back to his powers, Nyarlathotep can grab all the gods of earth from one place and dump them in another place. Let me explain to you why that's insane. In the fictional universe Lovecraft created, a deity like the Egyptian sun god Ra actually exists, and Nyarlathotep is moving a deity of that caliber with about as much effort as it will take you to grab your phone and put it somewhere else. But I am not done, because Nyarlathotep is the soul of all of the other gods. We know that in this universe, souls have power. Nyarlathotep being the soul of every single one of the other gods must mean that at bare minimum, Nyarlathotep has a portion of the power of every single one of the other gods. That includes Azathoth, Yog-Sothoth, and yes, even Shub-Niggurath. Now here's what you need to understand. The void is full of monsters, and every single one of them is insanely strong. Let me give you an example. There's these creatures called the amorphous flute players. They are the ones playing music to Azathoth, and as a side effect of the music they play, they create all the laws in this universe. If that's hard to understand, think of it this way. These amorphous flute players are creating the laws of physics, and they are doing that just as a side effect of playing music. That's how powerful the creatures in the void are, and Nyarlathotep, as the soul of all of them, should have power from all of them. So now we can finally bring back our good friend the staircase, then we can make another step, and that's where Nyarlathotep would rank. So to answer the question of this video, Nyarlathotep is too powerful. To put it in Dragon Ball terms, Nyarlathotep has a really big number. I am of the opinion that there are only 4 beings in his verse that could fight him. Put those 4 aside, and Nyarlathotep could solo his entire verse. He is undoubtedly, undeniably, and expectedly big strong. Now, while Nyarlathotep might not be the absolute most powerful entity in his verse, he is definitely the most dangerous, because other monsters in this universe might show up in front of you putting up a show, being big and loud and saying,
"Blah, I'm gonna eat ya, I am the end of all things."
But Nyarlathotep won't do that. Instead, he will show up looking like some kind of important figure so that you will listen to him, and he's going to be very polite and very well spoken, and he's going to put all the stars at your feet and tell you how awesome you are. And that thing you think you really want, Nyarlathotep is here to give it to you, and all you need to do in exchange is just do him a little favor. It's gonna be something really easy, and he'll even help so that it's even easier. How cool is that? And once you accept, he's gonna send you to the void and feed you to Azathoth because you were dumb enough to trust him. That is how Nyarlathotep operates. He is extremely powerful, extremely old, extremely smart, and extremely evil. If telling you that you are the most powerful and special person in the universe gets you to do what he wants, he will do that. He will lie without hesitation, and that's why he's the most dangerous. Alright, that was a lot, but we did it. We are done. Or at least that's what I would like to say, but but I still have some miscellaneous things that I want to quickly go over. Number 1, Nyarlathotep is said to have all knowledge. You can use this to argue he's omniscient. I would disagree, but you can do that if you want to. Number 2, Nyarlathotep has enough power to, at bare minimum, ruin the surface of planet Earth. Problem is that we don't know which Nyarlathotep is doing this. If it's the full Nyarlathotep, it's no surprise he could do this. But if this was done by his avatar, then the question is, does the avatar have this much power from the moment he is summoned, or is this the amount of power the avatar can gain over time? We don't know. Number 3, in universe, the Egyptians believed that Nyarlathotep would arise on Earth during what they call the Year of the Black Goat. But to summon Nyarlathotep's avatar, all you need to do is look at the Trapezohedron, so the Egyptians were wrong. However, these two facts can easily be reconciled by assuming that every time Nyarlathotep was summoned, he was being summoned during the Year of the Black Goat. Number 4, Lovecraft once implied that the King in Yellow and Nyarlathotep are the same being. This does not make sense, but Lovecraft once implied it. And finally, number 5, Nyarlathotep is said to be the father of the million favorite ones. In my opinion, these favorite ones would be the Migo, but Lovecraft never elaborates on this. He just mentions it one time and then never again. Technically though, based on this, Nyarlathotep has children. Alright, now I'm done. For real this time. Join me next time when I finally get to the big one, Azathoth. Unless you are watching this video in the future, in which case there's a link to that video in the description already. But for now, I bid you adieu. So, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.